This is 7 Steps to Manifest a Miracle with Transformational Life Coach Christi.
Ring, ring, ring. Have you ever felt like you won the lotto? We got that phone call one day. Now, where did that money come from? Excuse me. Some people may say that it came from our inheritance. Our parents, my husband's parents died 5-7 years ago, and this was a payout of some kind of life insurance. There was no name attached to it. So where was this money and why did it come now? Hi, this is Christi with Christi's Clarity, and today I'm going to talk about how I created miracles throughout my life, and especially around this particular event. So what created this miracle money coming into our lives? Was it that it just was time and it came around? Maybe it was sitting there all the time. We don't even know because there was no facts that came with this. Just here's a payout from an life insurance company, right? Well, we had gotten already payouts, 5 and 7 years ago from the parents. And so where is this coming from? What instigated this happening? Well, our son during the pandemic, found his beloved and married her, and they came to live with us. Now, we had always thought we had a really nice lot out in back, and we'd always thought, well, we could build a granny unit. It used to be called, now it's an ADU, a adjacent dwelling unit, something like that. And we had thought about it, and it looked like a good idea. We'd even contacted engineers and, all of the things, but we never followed through. Well, with him getting married and us wanting to support him and her, we love her, she's lovely, and we decided that it's time to build this ADU, this apartment out on our back lot. And we didn't stop to say, well, occasionally, and especially my husband would say, where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to get the money? We both work in public service work, and in service work. And, we don't live for the money, but we are very happy and content. But, we didn't have an extra little few bucks sitting in our back pocket. So it was kind of like, where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to get the money? So we got the money to get started on the project. We hired a architect. We hired we found the contractor. We had the estimate of what the project would cost, and we were kind of freaking out a little bit, right? But one of the things that I have learned from all of my studies is to leave no stone unturned. So do everything possible to see how you can follow through with the project. So I checked with lenders, I checked with and I actually had in place a short-term loan if we needed it. But that was a little scary. It's like those 1-year loans that if you don't pay it off in 1 year, and I went deeper than that. This is a divine idea. I felt it in my bones. I knew this was our next step. So we moved forward. And anytime we had doubt, I'd say doubt out, faith in, right? But we didn't engage in work until we had the money, but we held the consciousness, the vibrational frequency of it's being done. There's a great word, ethnos. It actually is the root word of enthusiasm, right? And so that's a key component to this, which over the next week, next 8 sessions, I'm going to talk about how to discover for yourself the miracle system. and what you can do to not just create, and this was my big question, how come I create these big miracles? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me finish my story and then I'll get to that. So when this phone call came and this money came to us out of the blue, then why? Because we had all of the steps in place to create miracles, but I didn't know what they were. I just knew that over my life, these kind of things happen around big projects, traveling the world for a year, going to a very expensive private art school, and coming out debt-free, and all these various things that had happened to me, creating miracles, meeting my husband, adopting our son, all of those things, and so I actually went to one of my mentors and said, how come I can create these big miracles and not everyday miracles? Now, if I looked back on my life, I create everyday miracles, but it didn't feel like it was on demand, like these big miracles with big money, with big projects. That money we got was twice as much as we needed to build that ADU. That's a lot of money, right? And especially money to come out of the blue like that. So we worked together, and through the work that I did, I discovered 7 steps to creating miracles. Okay. Now, I realized when I had done this, and how I discovered these was we took the miracles I had been creating and looked at what were the various steps in this. And it was a really interesting discovery process. And they are tried and true now, that these are 7. There are many more steps as well. But how do you learn them? And not just how do you learn them, how do you apply them so that they are your natural way of being? Okay, I leave in 2 weeks for the southwest part of Europe, flying into Lisbon, then over to Italy, and then working our way back to Portugal, leading a group. And how did I do that? It's important that you know the 7 steps. And then, here's the question. Why didn't it happen some of the time? What was the problem when it didn't happen? Once I had the 7 steps, I knew, my voice, I knew when I didn't follow the steps. I could focus on, I missed that step. The 6th step is actually speaking truth, right? And so here my voice is going, woo, right? Speaking truth, regardless of appearance. And so I'm going to talk about, over the next 7 sessions, the 7 steps to manifesting miracles, as they were downloaded to me, and I have now been both teaching them and practicing them. And if you want to know about my courses on miracle manifesting, you can go to masteringtheartoflife.com and go there and look up my events and my courses and so forth. Okay. I have people that audit these to go through it over and over again to keep getting that inside of you. See, if you know it and your life doesn't reflect it, you only know about it. You want to get it in so that it's your everyday occurrence.
Step 1, vision.
I bet you've created a vision board or a vision, and how has it worked for you? I know you can create some really great results by doing that, but why does everybody tell you to do it? Well, let me tell you about that. I have been helping people design visions and the steps that it takes that really help them create the life that they love. But I had an amazing download. I mentioned it in the previous recording of how to find the 7 steps to miracle manifesting. And guess what? Step number 1 was vision.
And it actually was correlated to a chakra, which was not the crown chakra, which I would have thought it was. But in my download, I really got that it was the base chakra, the root chakra, right? And if you think about creating the life that you really want to live, it's from the ground up, just like you'd build a garden, right? And so, yes, it is vision, but it's creating a vision that is exponentiated, right? That is greater than you've ever created before. And there are 6 more steps towards how to making them manifest in your life. And once you learn these 7 steps, and you get them inside of you, they become natural and you start manifesting miracles everywhere. I've seen this happen over and over again. So step number 1, yes, is vision, but it's to the power of, it's to exponentiate the vision in a greater way. Now, many people say, well, isn't a vision the same as goal and intentions? No, the vision is, and here's a key to how to create it. What would you like your life to look like in 3 to 5 years if there were no excuses and nothing could hold you back? And say, I was to wave a magic wand, right? So that's the exponential aspect of visioning. And is to really go and then to, okay, so this is what I really need to tell you about creating a vision. You need to read it every day as if it happens. And in order to read it every day as if it happens, it has to be from as if you believe it already is taking place. And every morning you need to spend some time focusing on the vision. So here's a peace of mind, right? I'm so happy and grateful now that I am the woman who leads groups 3 times a year. And that when I lead, as I am leading these people on this amazing journey, they have their own personal transformations. Okay, so notice, and I even caught myself there, right? In the past tense, it really has to be as if it's happened. Oh my gosh, you know what happened? I was sitting on my terrace as the people were arriving to my retreat in Italy, and I was watching them come in and meeting each other, and I was still getting myself prepared, doing my meditation and so forth, but I was able to look out on the terrace as they arrived from my balcony, right? Now, I could feel the cool wind on my face, and I could see the sun beaming down, feel it, and all of those things that help you feel it. And then when you spend your 5 to 25 minutes a day putting on that vision, then you have to be in that frequency. And we'll talk more about that as I describe the additional steps of how to create miracles in your life. But I want to let you know, you can't do this once. So if you ever thought about brushing your teeth once, how'd that work for you, right? We have to do it every day, consistently. And you can even do it at night if you want to accelerate that. So how many days do you need to do this? Yeah, a lot of people say 21. That's the old belief. Because yes, you can choose to stop biting your nails in 21 days. But if you want to really displace the old beliefs that have been holding you to other people's ideas of what you should do in life, then it's going to take 90 days with consistency. My mentor, Mary Morrissey, she gives us a challenge of reading these 4 chapters every day that hold the code to creating, manifesting, right? And she says, if you miss a day, you start over. So I'm going to give you that idea and just to see what it really means is how do we become it rather than know about it?
Step 2, sparkle.
I am so happy and grateful now that I am creating the life that I love, eating thistles, looking for all the bad in life. I love Eeyore, and I love what Eeyore taught us as we were children, or my son as he was growing up. But is that how we manifest miracles in our life? We're on step number 2 of how to create miracles for your life. Sparkle. It takes sparkle. And what is sparkle? Sparkle is like bringing the joy, the effervescence. Now, I'm an extrovert, so I know it's not always easy for introverted people, which is a gift in and of itself. And yes, you have to do it your own way. But what is your individual sparkle? I mean, maybe it is that you bring calm to people's lives, and that's the sparkle. And that means those people will be your tribe, right? But let's talk about creating your vision. Step number 2, sparkle, and how you can bring that into your vision and in your daily work, in your daily life. So one of the things is, I talked about at the end of the last video about creating a vision. You want to create it as if it's already happened, right? And you want to speak it that way. And you want to add the sparkle, and it might be in your breath and how you say it. It might even be in the smells. Oh, we walked along the beach and I just smelled the fresh breeze of the ocean air. It might be in the sight. Oh, the lovely sunset. And you can look at your 5 senses and you can sparkle your vision. I'm so happy and grateful now that every day I wake up and I see my beloved next to me, and that we do our meditation work together and we explore our spiritual nature together, and ... right? Make it sparkle. Now, I'm going to talk later, or I talk about in my course, which is on miracle manifesting, about frequency and vibration. And it really is important to create a vibrational frequency of that you want to match. Now, you, as much as we love Eeyore, you don't want to create that life. What you really want to create is whatever your joy is. Oh, I am snuggling up in the bay window of my house that overlooks the ocean, reading a book, warm and cozy, if that's your life. But you do it with the smells, sights, the hearing. I can hear the ocean on the water. Oh, I must be having an obsession with the water today, with the ocean. Well, I am leaving soon to go to 10 days on the Mediterranean Sea. So taking a group with me. So what is the sparkle for your vision? And then when you read it as if it's already taking place every day for, what did I say yesterday on the video before? 90 days at the very minimum. So I say 21 days to change an easy habit, like biting your nails. 90 days to get at those ones where the boogeyman has really got inside of us and our belief systems are challenging us. And guess what? A lifetime to maintain it. So it's just like brushing your teeth. You don't stop. You don't stop.
Step 3, what's stopping you?
Have you ever said, okay, when I get these things done, then I'm going to live the life of my dreams. I need to get my money handled before I live the life of my dreams. I need to exercise before I can be healthy. Or I I've tried applying for the job that I really want, or, on and on and on. Yeah. All those things that stop you. And as I mentioned last year, I had a download around how to create the miracles in my life that I had created all the time in the bigger picture. But how did I learn to create them in my everyday life or on demand almost, because somehow they would just happen. And so I did some deep work and I discovered the 7 steps. And so we talked on a couple of videos ago. Step number 1 is a vision exponentiated. It's to the power of 2 at least, right? And I explain what that means. And then in step number 2, it's sparkle. How do you create the vibrational frequency of sparkle? Well, and I said at the end, what do you think today is about? And from my entry, what do you think? Yep. It's about the places you get stuck. How do you get stuck? Where do you get stuck? It's a hard place to tell because most of us try to solve our problems at the level we see them. We look at our bank account and we say, oh, my bank account's overdrawn. I'm going to have to go and change the situation at the bank. I'm going to have to go out and work more. I'm going to have to ... again, right? But let me tell you, it's none of these. Yes, you've got to do those things. You've got to take care of business. But if you really want to change, then let me tell you about step number 2. Get unstuck. Yeah, well, I've tried that. I've tried everything I know. You've tried solving the problem at the level that it was created. And it can't be solved at the level it was created, right? Just putting enough money in the bank account, when's it going to happen again? You have to go in and find out what's holding you back. Now, I talk about it being subconscious beliefs, and that's where I start with people to really understand what is running them is almost the part that we don't pay conscious attention to. And so, yes, in the beginning, we dig those things up to see what they are, but we mostly do that to see how it feels so that when we want to get unstuck, we eventually say, I have my vision. Right? Step number 1, it's got all the sparkle on it. And is my feeling or situation or circumstances moving me in the direction of my vision, or is it taking me away? That's taking me away. If it's moving you in the direction of your vision, then absolutely move in that direction. And that's where you get to when you learn the 7 steps of miracle manifesting. So today, just ask yourself, whenever a feeling, thought, or action comes up, what is the step that I am moving towards? And is this moving me in the direction of where I want to go? Alice in Wonderland came up to the Cheshire Cat, or was it the Mad Hatter? I can't remember, but what she said is, how do I get somewhere? And the Mad Hatter or the Cheshire, I think it's the Cheshire Cat. Yeah, the Cheshire Cat says, doesn't matter. Just go anywhere for as long as you want and you'll get somewhere. But my point is, if you want to go in the direction of what brings you life, what is your masterpiece to bring in the world, the joy and creativity that we were all meant to do, go find the steps in the direction of your vision and be willing to get unstuck.
Step 4, you are the divine in expression.
Why am I the great exception? Have you ever said that to you? Oh, or they're lucky and I'm not. Hi, I'm Christi, and I'm here to tell you that you are not the great exception. And if they can do it, you can do it. But today I'm giving you some of the helpful hints to help you create that in your own life. And I'm also the author of Beyond the Box, Creative Thinking Expanded. And you can use that to also help you with the steps. Now, it doesn't outline the steps, those steps in there. It does correspond to the same principles, right? So today's step is you, number 4, you are the divine in expression. No, I'm not. I can't be that good. Or I have a lot to live up to. Or. No. You know what? You know the word omnipotent? I like that word, omnipotent. It means all. And, in many philosophies, the divine, whether you call it Buddha, goddess, God, the divine, I use divine because I think it's a little more across the board, right? It doesn't matter, but we are made in the image and likeness, that's what it says in the Bible, or we are of the seed of God, or whatever it is. But we were not sent here as mistakes. We were sent here. We had the opportunity to walk on this amazing planet because we are the creativity of the divine. We are the creativity of the divine. We're like living out the dreams of the divine. And if you're doing anything else, I'm going to say it. It's dissing the divine, right? So if you are stuck, ask yourself, what would the divine do here? Or what would God do here? There's a great story about, I'm going to butcher this story again, but about a monastery. And there was monks in this monastery. And the order was getting smaller and smaller, and new people weren't coming in. And they were all thinking, what can we do about this? And so one of the monks saw that the abbot was in his cottage that was just in the next property over, and he would come about 1 year to pray and meditate. And so this one of the head monks said from the monastery says, well, I'm going to go over and see what the rabbi says. The abbot. Okay, sorry. And so he walks over there, and they end up, having tea together and praying together and just really enjoying. And the monk was telling him the problem. He says, yeah, that's kind of happening everywhere. And so he got ready to leave, and he said, do you have any answers for us? And he said, no, I don't. I'm so sorry. But I do know that one of us is the Christ. And the abbot, the monk goes back to the monastery, and they said, what did he say? What did he say? Well, he said that he didn't know, he didn't have any answers, but he said something really interesting at the end. He says, one of us is the Christ. And they all looked at each other and said, that's interesting. Well, Dominique went off and he said, it couldn't be Brother John because he's so cranky and ornery, but what if he is? I better start treating him like the Christ. And they were all wondering, everybody with their weird little faux pas, they're not the Christ. But I better treat them like they are, just in case. And then they thought, what if I'm the Christ? I don't even realize it. I better start acting like the Christ. And all of a sudden, in their beautiful grounds, people started picnicking, and young men started coming, and they started talking to the monks about, what is this about? What's going on? And all of a sudden, many of the young men started joining the order. And this monastery continued to treat everyone like they are the Christ, and especially themselves. So if you realized your own divinity as a manifestation of some greater power, universal power, it can even be the universe, and science is proving a lot of this information, the connection with spiritual and science, how would your life begin to change? So step number 4 is you are the divine in expression. Start acting that way, right? what can you do today? What can you do today to know that you are the divine in expression?
Step 5, truth.
Stand guard at the portal of your mind. Emerson said that. And I have a little addition to that. And your mouth. Don't let anything cross those lips that you don't want to create. And today I'm talking about step number 5. Now, I mentioned in, I believe it was step number 1, that part of the discovery for this was me going through the chakras. And we actually started from the bottom up. Now, whether you believe in chakras or not, just see that it was the container for me to discover or to download these 7 steps of creating the steps for miracle manifesting in your everyday life. And go back and listen to number 1 and number 2 of this series, right? But the 5th step was the 5th chakra, truth. And and the important thing is to speak truth, but not just like the circumstantial or conditional level truth. Speak the highest truth, the divine truth, kind of what we talked about last video, that you are the divine in expression. And so and remember, you are a creator. Your words and actions create. They actually create. And they create through the vibrational frequency as well as the words that are spoken. So when you are out in the world, you speak only words that you want to create more of. And those are going to be words of love, kindness, caring, support. And then when you're talking about your vision, remember, go back to step number 1, it is an exponentiated version of your vision. You want to create your vision when you speak it of high vibrational frequency. Now, in my course, I teach about some of those different vibrations and the frequencies, but I will tell you that one of the levels of vibrational frequencies we want to get to and to be to are joy, gratitude, and love, right? So that's a good key to say, are you speaking the truth about yourself, about your vision, about everyone in the world, and even the people that you maybe don't agree with, because the divine in you can recognize the divine in them, not their actions. But I will tell you, that will change the world. It will change your life in the greatest way you can ever imagine. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you. Or another way I say that is bless their heart, right? Bless their heart. And I don't mean, like my son says, the Southern way. I mean it in the heartfelt way. Whatever you may have done to me, whatever your life story is, bless your heart. Yes, bless your heart, or namaste. And you will see, as you speak truth, higher truth. So a lot of people say, well, if I'm reading my vision, that's not speaking truth because it hasn't taken place yet. Wrong. Buzz. Don't go there. If you can dream it, you can become it. Now, you've heard that before, and then you've maybe not succeeded, but these are steps. And being in a container of support where you remember this can truly help you create the life that you love living.
Step 6, ethnos.
Hi, today's my art day, and I love making art. Yes, I do. And look at right there, the paintbrush becoming the swoop, the splash in life. We talked about sparkle in step number 2, but today we're going to talk about ethnos. What's that? Hi, I'm Christi, and I'm also the author of that book there, Beyond the Box, Creative Thinking Expanded. And ethnos came to me during this amazing download that I had, where I discovered the 7 steps to creating miracles. Now, ethnos is the root word of enthusiasm. Okay, but it means of the divine, or the divine in expression. Now, yes, we talked about sparkle, but we want to look at everything we do as coming from the enthusiasm of knowing that God is expressing itself through life in your life. So today, what do I want you to do in step number 6 is you can use meditation to develop this, and you can develop your intuition through the feeling of the ethnos. All of those things help you create the miracles in your life that you want to manifest. So today, walk through life with the enthusiasm of what you love to do. If you love to garden, do it wholeheartedly. If you're doing things you don't like to do, still do it with enthusiasm and know that somehow it is in service to you and the world. And boy, that's a big leap. So this week, enthusiasm in everything that you do and you want to create more of.
Step 7, do it.
You know, it still hasn't happened. I've been listening to all 6 of your steps so far, Christi, and nothing's happening. And today, step number 7 might be the most important. Well, I think they're all equally important, but guess what it is? Just do it. Right? Okay. What do you mean? That's Nike's phrase and everything. What do you mean, just do it? Well, let me tell you a story, okay, that I helped a young woman many years ago, before I even knew the nuances of this. She was in high school and she was about to graduate, and she goes, "Oh, I would really love to go to Hawaii for my graduation." I said, "Oh, do it." And she says, "No, my mom, she works really hard and she doesn't have the money to send me. I haven't seen my dad in years. And it's just not going to happen." And I said, "Well, let's have a little experiment." And it was way back in the day. Like I said, it was many, many years ago when you could book a plane reservation and they would hold it for you for 3 days. So I said, "Book your trip to Hawaii." And she says, "I want my girlfriends to go with me." And I said, "Well, start telling them that you're going and book the hotel. You don't have to make any commitment right now." And so she did all of that. And she comes back to me the next day and she goes, "Oh, my friends are going and their parents are paying their way and I just don't have any way to go. And here I started this and now I'm not going to go." I said, "Don't get discouraged. Just keep that energy up. Just keep that belief up. What's it going to be like to be in Hawaii?" And so she did. And the next day she came to me, "Oh my gosh, Christi, you're not going to believe it." And I said, "I'm going to believe it." But she said, "I haven't seen my dad in 5 years. He called me and he said, 'You're going to graduate.' I'm sorry." First of all, he said, "I'm sorry that I haven't been in touch with you, but you're going to graduate. What would you like for graduation?" Guess what she said? A trip to Hawaii, right? Now, if she didn't have that vision, guess what she would have said? "Oh, a new graduation dress or nice shoes for the walk across the stage or the prom or whatever." So this is one of the importances of just do it. You want to be in that mode, the forward moving action of what it is that you would love. One of the things that does is it actually notifies the universal law that it's got your back. It says, "Oh, there's a person that's moving in that direction. I'm going to help them move in that direction." So step number 7 to creating miracles in your life, almost on demand. Well, on demand, once you really get them in you, you learn to live from them, is just do it. And so this week, I hope you ask yourself, what actions can I take? What can I put into place, believing that it's possible?
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Here are 2 exclusive podcast listener offers. First, for a limited time, podcast listeners can work with Christi in person at a deep discount. Christi offers a unique coaching modality of her own creation that helps clients discover their own answers to where they're stuck and how to move forward. As one of her clients puts it, "It always works." This transformative process is designed to help you identify blocks and create breakthroughs in your personal and professional life. As a thank you for listening to the podcast, you're eligible for a special discount. Normally $97 for a half-hour introductory session, podcast listeners get a $70 discount automatically applied if you use this link, masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. That's masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. And that link is in the podcast general description as well. Second, you can get the entire library of Mastering the Art of Life with PDF notes and worksheets for each lesson, plus bonuses at no cost at masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in, all one word, masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in. That link is also in the general podcast description.